Out of the villages, the shtetls, and countryside of Eastern Europe, a land out of time, came magical tales about rabbis who could fly, read your mind, travel through time and space. Without a country, without a land to call their own, they lived in a fantastical world of their own creation. The study of Torah was the highest calling. This is the mythical soil from which sprang the idea, the legend, the folktale, the truth of the 36. It was about a year ago now when I started this project. And I was so angry about the state of the world.
Just look at the papers. War in Iraq, starvation in Ethiopia, genocide in Sudan, in Rwanda, in Bosnia, global warming, drought, winter and summer, summer and winter. Greed and destruction have become the background noise on our TV as we eat our dinner each night. The world is a mess.
It was around that time I met a woman at the Holocaust Memorial. And it was this woman, really, who inspired me to start looking. She turned to me suddenly, a complete stranger, and told me the story of the 36.
They are anonymous, simple people who keep the world in balance by the mitzvahs they perform daily. Acts of kindness, acts of goodness.
So I started looking for people who knew anything about this myth.
I believe that there are 36 of these super beings in a sense, and that there maybe are thousands and thousands of lesser Lamed Vovs, maybe 36,000 or 360,000 or maybe more. And certainly I think I would have a sense in daily life of meeting people who, from my perception, radiate a certain kind of good energy, a good vibe, a kindness, and also a kind of higher consciousness.
There's 36 just people in the world, and
no, I never heard of that.
They do good deeds and good works, and they keep the world on balance.
I had an aunt who had a very difficult life, but she just was cheerful and helpful and everything.
Have you ever met anyone that has that sort of magical quality where you talk to them and you think they're doing good things, but I don't know, they have that sort of glint of truth in them? I don't know, however you want to put it.
People say that about me.
Yeah, they do?
Yeah.
They're ordinary people hidden among us, and they have a sort of magic quality to them that's hard to pin down. An angel in human form sort of hidden among us.
Yes,
like that?
I have. I'm married to one.
Do you think you could be one?
Probably not, me.
This little one, possibly,
Maybe.
but no, not really.
Do you think you've met anyone who has this sort of magic quality to them? Someone, I don't know.
I need better friends.
No, you know a few people who are good and like Harriman, but no, I wouldn't say that there was any anything other than just good human qualities to someone like that.
Who keep humanity from sort of sliding into chaos. And they're sort of magical people who have a certain power to them, but they're sort of hidden among us, and they might not even know who they are themselves.
It could possibly be true. I think that there probably are people in this world whose, I don't know if I believe in like souls and all that stuff, but just whose persona is just magical. I think like if you look at Gandhi or Nelson Mandela, or there's a few people like you're just like, wow, how did this individual rise from the situation that they came from and manage to accomplish so much more than like the person right next door or their brother or their sister or something.
Do you believe in this?
I find it quite difficult to.
There's plenty of unseen forces working that, are behind the scenes that we don't know of. So who's to say, whether what you're explaining is real or not? It could easily be.
I try not to be an asshole.
Yeah.
They're simple, everyday people hidden among us, but they have a certain magic and a certain power to them. Do you believe in this?
I would like to, yeah, sure. Sounds like a great idea.
Do you think you could be one?
No.
No, why not?
Just because I'm a little too focused on myself and not on improving mankind as a whole.
Saw the rustler on the trail, you know I out and let her hail. Hotly, hotly. Spied another 3 or 4, you bet I out and let it pour. Hotly, hotly.
Do you believe in this myth?
Yes, I've heard, yes.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Well, just because, as I say, I believe someone's holding us together.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you're one?
Well, I might be. But as I say, I wouldn't tell.
Why not?
Well, that'd be telling, and after all, it's dangerous being one of 36.
Dangerous?
Mm-hmm.
How so?
Well, just because there's so many evil forces about.
Uh-huh.
Then I thought, well, maybe we should sit down and talk to some prospects for a little longer. I got some leads. A local auto mechanic who turned out to be Jewish.
No, I'm really a born-again pagan, so, right over the top of this head.
I do my part, and so do thousands of other people in the world.
A high school student who had won awards for her service work in Western Massachusetts.
All right.
That's wonderful.
A shoemaker who folks said had something special.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Very
Have a nice
much.
day.
Thank you. I want to ask you something. I have a suede, ultra suede.
When the child was born, start walk, parents buy him good shoes, leather. Now they buy him pair of sneakers. When he get old, they get trouble with his feet. No support, see?
The director of a peace camp for Israeli and Palestinian teenagers. I asked her if she was one of the 36.
I don't think of myself that way. I think of myself as just doing the small bit that I can to make a difference in the world. Again, I think it's not just a person. I think that it's a collective.
I'm just, as you put it, the average Joe. I'm nothing special.
That's part of the legend, too.
If you ask a 36er, they'll deny it.
Oops. Played right into that one, didn't I?
Steve Linsky did have a twinkle in his eye, and a suggestion of hidden knowledge.
Mr. Spock did on Star Trek.
Live long and prosper, right?
Yeah. If you can do it with both hands, you're supposed to be a descendant of the Kohans or something. Well, obviously I can't do that either, but.
That's from the engine to the muffler, Stevie. That's high.
But he, too, would deny he was any kind of saint.
I wouldn't really call it a house call. I mean, once in a while you have to go out, like if the customer has a really weird complaint, it only does it in the morning or something, so you get out in the morning so you can hear it. Maybe they have a dead battery, you go out and give it a jump start, but I don't go out in the driveway and repair the car. I draw the line on that one.
Each of these kids that are here right now, each of them has the potential to make a huge difference in their community.
1, 2, 3, action.
I don't think that any one of them right now believes that. So I think the first step is to help these kids realize that they do have that power. And then to provide them with tools that they can use to make a difference. So these kids are learning how to talk about really difficult things, how to share their story in a way that other people can hear them. I don't care if you don't like each other, I don't care if you're angry with each other, but figure out a way to tell your story.
The separating wall is like what separates the Israeli and the Palestinian. And breaking it, it's like make peace.
Debbie was great with the kids.
That's the end, yeah.
It all made sense, politically and in terms of better human relationships. But was this camp holding up the world? I doubted it. I yearned for something more spiritual.
Somewhere in the world, something needs repairing, and you go and do it. I mean, I'm not really sure how else someone would become like that. And you just have to notice that you can do something small, and it can turn into something big, and then bigger, and...
Carly had a good heart and ambitions to do tikkun, to heal the world, but only as an ordinary person. I found myself more interested in what her mother had to say.
My father died when I was 21. We left the hospital, we went home, we sat in my brother's room on my brother's bed. I saw my father standing, leaning against my brother's dresser. Now, I didn't see him like there he was in flesh and blood, but he was there. The parallel between seeing my father's soul and your discovering the 36, the parallel that I would draw is you won't be sure you've seen them. You'll say, there he is. Oh, no, I'm mistaken. And maybe that's the way it's meant to be. That's the way I would apply my mystical experience to your search.
There is no future, there is no past from a higher metaphysical perspective. And when a person does a good deed at that moment, that's really all that counts. There's a whole school of thought in Jewish mysticism that says that neither the future nor the past really exists. They're just figments of our lower consciousness.
I met 3 experts.
Dr. Edward Hoffman.
And when a person does a good deed or says something that helps another person, the whole universe is changing and is being influenced at that precise moment.
Mindy Ribner, psychologist and teacher of Kabbalah.
We need a UN that doesn't bring the politicians together, but brings the highest spiritual, loving people of the country together, the people who have true vision, the people who have an open, loving heart.
It's not that they're thinkers or great meditators or great masters of prayer or great scholars, and all of those are certainly recognized in Judaism, but they're simple people who do things that have profound impact on the world through kind of a cosmic ripple effect.
Some of these people know who they are and some do not. But it's said that these people are the foundation of the universe.
And Rabbi David Zeller.
Yes, I think there's something very powerful to the fact that these people are there in very hidden and very humble ways, holding up holding up the whole world. So many different people and different religion cultures have similar kinds of teachings. So, I mean, maybe we say, well, yeah, we've got our 36 and you got your 36 and you got your, you know. But I don't think that anybody's hidden righteous people are only working for their own people.
We found a flyer for Krishna Das, a devotional chanter. He'd gone to India many years ago with Baba Ramdas. He'd found a guru there.
It's very rare to meet a real one of these guys, to know you're meeting them. I mean, we meet them all the time. They're busy. They're involved in all of our lives. Everything we think we know, we don't. When you talk about India, you have to talk about Hinduism and Buddhism, because both started in India. So in Buddhism, sure, there's the bodhisattvas, who are beings that are constantly working for perfection, for the sake of all other beings, not just for themselves, because they recognize that there really is no permanent, separate thing you can call a self. And in Hinduism, in yoga, the yoga tradition, the Vedic tradition, there's the siddhas, the mahasiddhas, the great beings who have become perfect, because siddhi is perfection. These are the great beings who are always present. The great beings are always here, and we're the ones who aren't here.
He told a story about a magical meeting.
I was in this deli in Mount Kisco, New York, and I was standing in line with my Swiss cheese sandwich, waiting to pay, and there was a guy in front of me. And I felt something really strange from him, And I kind of just moved over like this to kind of try to see his face. And it seemed like he turned. Well, his head is back to me. But when I kind of moved over to see his face, he turned as if he didn't want me to see him. I said, no, that didn't happen. So I went around the other side kind of, and he turned again. I said, no, wait. So I went on the other side, and sure enough, he turned again. And even when he was paying for his food, he was right in front of me in line, he kind of kept his, so I couldn't see his face, And then he pays for his food and he turns to go, and I put give the guy the bill, and I'm getting my money out. And just as I'm getting ready to pay, he turns to me and looks me right in the eyes and he says, "It's not in the eyes, And he walks out. And I'm waiting for my change, and I by the time I got my change and walked out the door, there was nobody there, and he was completely gone.
In Brattleboro, Vermont, I met Rabbi Zalman Schacter-Shalomi. Rabbi Zalman had met and talked with the Dalai Lama and many other spiritual leaders of our time. He had devoted his life to alternative ideas about ourselves.
And when we talk about the Sabbath, we say, on the seventh day, God rested and he vayinafash, and he breathed out.
He was like a wise grandfather, but at 83 years old and after a long lecture, he was tired. He said to come out and visit him in Colorado, and we could talk again.
I went out there with my uncle, who had some friends at the Naropa Institute. We spoke with them first.
Yeah. Well, it was supposed to be a place that was inviting all traditions, you know.
You can't even pin it down necessarily, but you just feel that there's something different coming from them. So,
how I understand this search, which I think a lot of us are on, is to know yourself. And so you're trying to find, because if you know yourself, you'll be that person. I think you'll be that person. So to the extent that you can know yourself, you'll be that person. So there are people, though, who can help you find out who you are. And I think that's where these teachers are very important, and I think that's what they're really doing.
Because I'm teaching at the university level, I'm focusing a lot on the next generation. And so, like yourself, you know, I would want to gather together a group of young people and say, this is our project. We're going to figure out what the wisdom is that we have right now that would be of benefit in our immediate environment. I would want to work in a grassroots way. So I'd want to work close to where we all lived and to start with our individual connections on a daily basis with each other and how that would actually unfold if we had the intention of growing ourselves into being those 36, something like that.
I'd be very leery of looking for the 36 because I think that they manifest in an overwhelming way and we can't find them. Do you know what I mean? I don't think we can go find them. I think they have to come out, would be one of my ways of thinking about this incredible project. I'm thinking, that's what I scratch my head and go, okay, how do you look for them?
In every culture, you have something about that there are some beings who hold the field for that culture. Every generation has 36 others. And they come in, you know, and they take over. It's like a, what do you call that run when you hand over the
a relay race?
The baton,
yeah.
You know? A relay race, right? I think what's going on is a race between the life of the planet and the culture that abuses that. What's the difference between a healthy person, let's say, and someone who has cancer? The cancer cells don't want to be in the discipline of the body. They want only to propagate themselves and to eat up the body, you know. When I start looking at human institutions today, I think a lot of those institutions are like cancer cells. They will eat up the resources because nothing is going to be left. They will pollute the atmosphere that we won't be able to breathe, you know? So we now have to do consciously what usually takes a long, long time to evolve. So these are the people who speak about cultural evolution. And I would call them the Lamed Vovniks of today, you know? Treat the word Lamed Vovnik as people who want to save the earth. We need to build a mind space in the world right now that will really govern things about the use of resources. And I think you can do that, and you are doing this, and this will help in a way. I'm going to look into this camera right now. I want to make a plea that people who are involved in any kind of philanthropy should organize themselves and set money aside for a place where people can come to learn the transformative spiritual technology that's necessary to put the mind in such a place that it could receive the knowledge that Earth wants us to have of how to heal her.
What advice would you have for a young person on this search, in this world, going into a new age, I guess?
I'd want to say there is a time during the late teens, sometimes early teens, that a person wakes up. And then they look at their family and all the people around them, they say, like Cinderella, what am I doing here, you know? Who are these people, you know? I'm thinking differently. And you begin to see ideals. And then what happens after a while? Peer pressure, other things make you forget your ideals. So if I have a word of advice is, spend at least 2 hours a week contemplating your ideals, the ideals that you had, and don't give up on them. You see, Nico, I don't think at this point that we are deploying ourselves. I think we are being deployed. The task is to be available for when you're being deployed. I was deployed to be here today with you, and you were deployed to be here with me today. And if we start asking, was it all our choice, so on, so you find out that somehow it was engineered that we should be together and do this thing, right?
Right.
I think that's the way it works. To be awake to the possibilities of being called to do the thing that needs to be done. And I look at you, Nico, and my time is going to be up after a while. I'm 83 now. And to be able to give over to you a vision at this point, you know, so that's the kind of transmission that happened. And it's a very special thing. It's not only words and ideas that come, but as I'm talking, I'm in touch with a vibration. And as you put your heart to that, you feel that vibration, right? And that's a very special way of transmission that happens between generations this way, and a lot of that happened with women. And I'm amazed at people like you. I just want to tell you I love you a lot. You know, I really do, because from everything that you're mentioning in your concern, and I know there are other people that are the same way. They're asking the same kind of questions, and they would like to know what are the tools that we are to use. You know, we feel so powerless in this thing. So what you see here,
I learned from Zalman that anyone can be one of the 36, and we must act as though everyone is one.
you know, I'm much more.
Maybe that means we should treat ourselves as if we are one too, and go through each day as if each tiny action is changing the world for the better.
I like the one that says, don't believe everything you're thinking.
Do you ever feel like sometimes you have too many ideas and you can't sort them all out?
Well, that's true. That's true. The only thing is you mustn't let them evaporate.
The 36 is all of us, a piece of something we all have, some more, some less. And until we all start talking to that piece, and dancing with that piece, and singing to that piece, and using that piece in the world, nothing will change. Have you ever met anyone else that you think?
That I thought was? Yes, probably.
Uh-huh.
Probably. But then, how would we know? There's no way of verifying it, is it? I don't think. Caught a rustler on the trail, you know I ought to let her hail.
I don't know. I don't think the 36 can be found. I think we have to do it ourselves.
Well, let's see, it's working on magnetism. Sometimes I try to keep a lid clamp down on my charm, but some must have slopped over.
All right, so do you believe in this myth?
Yes, I've heard, yes.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Well, just because, as I say, I believe someone's holding us together.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.